our investigation of the Eightfold Path. Of course, we're never finished. And starting next week, we will take up using as our base text, Zen Echoes classic koans with verse commentaries by 3 female Zen masters. It's a fairly new book. Raisela actually recommended it to me. Thinking koans, my understanding is that in Chinese meant public case. And I was thinking, what seems to be happening in the world these days is there's a public case each moment. I mean, there always is what's the appropriate response? Is how do we respond? So to look back on these ancient koans and to make them present and relevant, and through the names, through the teachings of 12th century Mai Zhang and 2 17th century women Zen masters who then took her teachings and then turned them. I love it when there's all these relationships where you can feel how we echo across time and space, and then define how, and use some of the more traditional commentaries also. How can these koans help wake us up in this time? I'm really looking forward to it. So we'll start that next week. For today, the 8th of the Eightfold Path, I'm going to call on, in the Cheryl Wolfer book, commentary, the final commentary by Pat Enkyo O'Hara, who's a well-respected teacher in Maezumi Roshi's lineage. So we talk about how the Eightfold Path, there's no beginning, there's no end. We enter through right view. We could say we conclude with right samadhi or right concentration, but they're all completely intertwined and flowing in and out of each other. And I thought for today, her commentary, Pat Enkyo O'Hara's commentary on right samadhi or right concentration, which she also calls wholesome concentration, which I kind of like that word. We did some of it on Tuesday, and today I thought I would call forward. She does some really nice explanations of the earliest teachings around samadhi in the early Pali teachings. And then we end up right here where we are in the lineage that we're in with Dogen Zenji. And to see how Dogen took these ancient teachings, the early teachings, and turned them, and Fukan Zazengi, his fascicle that he wrote about Zazen. We'll spend a little time with that and see where we are, what Dogen has to say about all of this, which of course, as usual, will be completely Dogen, which will be poetry, enlightening, and what in the world was that? But if you think you know anything that's going on about anything, Dogen will wake you up to the fact of look deeper. Keep looking, keep asking. So here's a little bit from Enkyo. The earliest teachings that we now have, the Pali Sutras, first written down around the 1st century, form the foundation for the many strands of Buddhist practice that have evolved in multiple forms in Asia and now in the Western world. Imagine the myriad evolutions of meaning and use and context as these early writings poured into Southeast Asia, into the cultures of China, Japan, Korea, and now the West, in Europe and Northern and Southern Americas. This cultural and spatial transformation of the teachings is always affected by the inexorable flow of time and generational change. That's what's so fun about this, both to look back and to see the language and the form in each culture of, well, we began with the Buddha and the teachings of the Buddha in a particular time and in India, and of course conditioned by culture and time, and then to see how it has transformed over time and to be alive in a time when they are actively transforming in the West. We are just babies. And the question always is, and why it's so important to study the early teachings and to study Dogen and to know the ground that we stand on, because I mean, you could say to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, what is this and what is essential as we carry it forward in our own lives and in our tradition. How anything is interpreted is so modulated by indigenous culture, accidental history, and the unexplained that we must be careful not to fixate on any one meaning of samadhi. Samadhi is old, exclamation point. It predates Buddhism and appears in the earliest Upanishads, the Maitreya. Samadhi is also integral to the teachings of yoga, Jainism, Hinduism, and Sikhism. It appears in shamanic works, in the many Buddhist traditions, and it is rather common contemporary logo for commercial products such as candles, blankets, pillows, teas, and clothes. Yes, we do live in a time where things are commercialized. Sanskrit samadhi customarily refers simply to meditation or contemplation, and its etymology carries the sense of bringing together, or bringing together completely, or one-pointedness, a kind of focus, a gathering in of disparate parts. The Chinese translators sometimes transliterated the sound samadhi as san mai, and other times replaced it with a ding, which means fixity. The character ding, D-I-N-G, shows a roof over the character stop, thus emphasizing a protective, immovable structure sheltering the energy of stop. To stop the motion of mind. It seems such a fitting loan word. Stop. So think, not thinking. What is this stopping? See what Dogen has to say about that. But first, we're going to see Bhikkhu Bodhi. Bhikkhu Bodhi, amazing practitioner, monk, Theravadan monk, translator. Here's his translation from the Sumyata Nikaya in Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. It's a kind of origin text. And what, monks, is right concentration? These are the words of the Buddha. Here, monks, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, a monk enters and dwells in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thought and examination, with rapture and happiness born of seclusion. These are forest-dwelling monks. With the subsiding of thought and examination, he enters and dwells in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without thought and examinations, and has rapture and happiness born of concentration. I'll bet this happens for you every time you sit down in zazen. With the fading away as well of rapture, he dwells equanimous and mindful and clearly comprehending. He examines happiness with the body. He enters and dwells in the third jhana, of which the noble ones declare, quote, he is equanimous, mindful, one who dwells happily, unquote. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous passing away of joy and dejection, he enters and dwells in the fourth jhana, which is neither painful nor pleasant, and includes the purification of mindfulness by equanimity. This is called right concentration. It's a little different than we'll see Dogen's Fukan Zazengi. Same essence, just we'll see. The Pali word jhana above corresponds to the Sanskrit dhyana that in turn we know as chan or zen, and is often translated simply as meditation. Chan, zen, dhyana. There are as many systems of such instructions as there are streams of the Dharma, depending on what school, what time period, what language and culture, the practice instructions will vary. Zen is very particular in its instructions, just like this description here is of the four jhanic states. Later texts in many of the Buddhist traditions are highly codified, prescriptive instructions, delineating a step-by-step methodology for attaining progressive states of samadhi. My own experience, Pat Enkyo O'Hara says, with concentration comes from my American Zen Buddhist tradition through Maizumi Roshi. You might have noticed the word enjoyment, rapture, happiness. So here's a little commentary, and then we're going to go over to the Fukan Zazengi. The enjoyment of samadhi resonates even in the often rather austere early scriptures quoted above, with rapture and happiness so prominent. You can sort of, I remember being in Southeast Asian country and sitting, going into a kind of cave rock and sitting where monks have sat over time, and it's so carved out. The stone is so carved out from so many bodies sitting there for so long. It's very moving to experience. I think I said that because it felt so calm and tranquil, and then my little cartoon brain had this idea of little monks jumping and up and down and being wrapped in rapture and happiness, but I don't think that's what they're talking about. It's a dropping away. It's a dropping away. It is that enjoyment we hear in my own tradition's core teacher, the brilliant Eihei Dogen, when he echoes an even earlier Chinese Zen teacher, Chan Lu Sungchi, mid-11th century, saying that the practice of samadhi is the Dharma gate of enjoyment and ease. Extolling it, an ancient said, Zazen is the Dharma gate of enjoyment and ease. Thus, we know that sitting practice is the way of enjoyment and ease. So as I was contemplating that, I thought, what an interesting thing that we do this thing called Zazen. You know, it's like, what do we think we're doing? And we so often don't talk about our experience of it. But there must be some kind of enjoyment and ease besides just sometimes the difficulty of sitting still and body and aches and pains. Is there's something that we keep returning to. So that's where I thought, well, Pat Enkyo O'Hara describes it very simply. She names it settling, unifying, and letting be. Settling, unifying, and letting be. But here's where I thought Dogen's Fukan Zazengi. So Fukan Zazengi is chanted as part of the liturgy at San Francisco Zen Center. I think maybe we studied it someplace in the past. I can't remember. We did, and it's something that we can return to. But I thought what we would do for today is just chant it together. I didn't make that many copies. I apologize, but we also have it on screen. If some people close to the screen want to look at the screen, or if you want to buddy up, so that you can ship maybe 2 or 3 people to a copy, you might have to move around a little bit.
Is it in the chat?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure that it is. I think it's probably not.
I thought it was in the chat book.
Oh,
I can see.
I should have looked. Anyway, I think we're probably okay. So here's my suggestion. Chanting is like Zazen. You chant with your whole body. You chant from your belly, your heart, head, all connected, earth, heaven, sky. So adjusting your posture, swaying a little left to right, finding deep ground. Let the words don't try to cognize them. It's more like the way you be with poetry. Let's chant it. Let it touch you. If a word or a phrase comes forward, you might note that, because we'll have a little time at the end. So let's just give ourselves to chanting the Fukan Zazengi with awe and wonder and appreciation of how Dogen took these ancient teachings and brought them forward for all of us to practice and embody. Fukan Zazengi. The way is basically perfect and all-pervading. How could you be contingent upon practice and realization? The Dharma vehicle is free and untrammeled. What need is there for concentrated effort? Indeed, the whole body is far beyond the world's dust. Who could believe in a way means to brush it clean? It is never apart from one, right where one is. What is the use of going off here and there to practice? And yet, if there is the slightest discrepancy, the way is as different as heaven from earth. If the least like or dislike arises, the mind is lost in confusion. Suppose one gains pride of understanding and inflates one's own enlightenment, glimpsing the wisdom that runs through all things, attaining the way and clarifying the mind, raising an aspiration to escalade the very sky. One is making the initial partial exclusions about the frontiers, but is still somewhat deficient in the way of total emancipation. Need I mention the Buddha, who was possessed of inborn knowledge? The influence of his 6 years of upright sitting is noticeable still, or Bodhidharma's transmission of the mind seal. The fame of his 9 years of wall sitting is celebrated to this day. Since this was the case with the saints of old, how can we today dispense with negotiation of the way? You should therefore cease from practice based on intellectual understanding, pursuing words and following after speech, and learn the backward step that turns your light inwardly to illuminate yourself. Body and mind of themselves will drop away, and your original face will be manifest. If you want to attain suchness, you should practice suchness without delay. For Sanzen, a quiet room is suitable. Eat and drink moderately. Cast aside all involvements and cease all affairs. Do not think good or bad. Do not administer pros and cons. Cease all the movements of the conscious mind, the gauging of all thoughts and views. Have no designs on becoming a Buddha. Sanzen has nothing whatever to do with sitting or lying down. At the side of your regular sitting, spread out thick matting and place a cushion above it. Sit either in the full lotus or half lotus position. In the full lotus position, you first place your right foot on your left thigh and your left foot on your right thigh. In the half lotus, you simply press your left foot against then place your right hand on your left leg and your left palm facing upward on your right palm, thumb tips touching. Thus sit upright in correct bodily posture, neither inclining to the left nor to the right, neither leaning forward nor backward. Be sure your ears are on a plane with your shoulders and your nose in line with your navel. Place your tongue against the front roof of your mouth with teeth and lips both shut. Your eyes should always remain open and you should breathe gently through your nose. Once you have adjusted your posture, take a deep breath, inhale and exhale. Rock your body right and left and settle into a steady, immovable sitting position. Think of not thinking. How do you think of not thinking? Non-thinking. This in itself is the essential art of Zazen. The Zazen I speak of is not learning meditation. It is simply the Dharma gate of repose and bliss, the practice realization of totally culminated enlightenment. It is the manifestation of ultimate reality. Traps and snares can never reach it. Once its heart is grasped, you are like a dragon gaining the water, like a tiger taking to the mountains. For you must know that just there in Zazen, the right Dharma is manifesting itself, and that from the first dullness and distraction subside, you rise from sitting slowly and quietly, calmly and deliberately. Do not rise suddenly or abruptly. In surveying the past, we find that transcendence of both unenlightenment and enlightenment, and dying while either sitting or standing, have all depended entirely on the strength of Zazen. In addition, the bringing about of enlightenment by the opportunity provided by a finger, a banner, a needle, or a mallet, and the effecting of realization with the aid of a hosu, a fist, a staff, or a shout, cannot be fully understood by discriminative thinking. Indeed, it cannot be fully known by the practicing or realizing of supernatural powers either. It must be deportment beyond hearing and seeing. Is it not a principle that is prior to knowledge and perceptions? This being the case, intelligence or lack of it does not matter. Between the dull and the sharp-witted, there is no distinction. If you concentrate your efforts single-mindedly, that in itself is negotiating the way. Practice realization is naturally undefiled. Going forward in practice is a matter of everydayness. In general, this world and other worlds as well, both in India and China, equally hold the Buddha seal, and overall prevails the character of the school, which is simply devotion to sitting, total engagement in immovable sitting. Although it is said that there are as many minds as there are persons, still they all negotiate the way solely in Zazen. Why leave behind the seat that exists in your home and go aimlessly off to the dusty realms of other lands? If you make one misstep, you go astray from the way directly before you. You have gained the pivotal opportunity of human form. Do not use your time in vain. You are maintaining the essential working of the Buddha way. Who would take wasteful delight in the spark from the flintstones? Besides, form and substance are like dew on the grass, destiny like the art of lightning, emptied in an instant, vanished in a flash. Please, honored followers of Zen, long accustomed to groping for the elephant, do not be suspicious of the true dragon. Devote your energies to a way that directly indicates the absolute. Revere the person of complete attainment who is beyond all agency. Gain accord with the enlightenment of the Buddhas. Succeed to the legitimate lineage of the ancestors' samadhi. Constantly perform in such a manner, you are assured of being a person such as they. Your treasure store will open of itself, and you will be sad. So I'm really sorry if you can't sit full or half lotus, you are doomed. I can't help it. I really appreciate chanting this together. Is there something here that it's pointing to? Coming home, coming home. What is this? Right samadhi, right concentration. What is this eightfold path? What is this living? This zazen, heart, body, mind. And your treasure store will open of itself and you will use it at will. What is this? It's, it's so beautiful and mysterious and incomprehensible. And it says, please, right. I mean, we keep saying, what is this word right? It's not right as opposed to wrong. One of the words that I was sharing that I've been seeing people using more and more actually in recent times is the word dignity. Is what is this upright sitting, this upright being, this isness that we come into accord with, that is full of ease and joy, right in the midst of the 10,000 things of the world. So I'm going to suggest we go into, I'm going to put us in slightly larger groups today. We have maybe 15 minutes.